to relate with your gay friend or your gay family member through the lens of the gospel. You need to rethink this issue through the lens of the gospel. Remember what Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 11. Such were some of you, so you address them as someone who is sinful yourself. There is nothing more or less sinful about their homosexuality than there is about your proud spirit or your self-righteousness or whatever it is that you struggle with. Somebody once said that the ground is level at the foot of the cross, that you have no moral high ground, there is no superiority, that grace is the great leveler. Our sinfulness it democratizes all of us, that we're all equal before the throne of God because we're all in need of grace. So such were some of you. You remember that Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, "Judge not lest ye be judged." So you do not judge them. We saw a couple weeks ago that we have no business holding non-believers accountable to a standard that they never agreed with in the first place. God judges those outside the faith. What business do we have judging outsiders? So don't judge them. Don't come at them as though you've got it figured out and they don't. You come to them as someone who is in need of grace. Jesus says you first get the speck out of your own eye before you go and pull the log out of your brother's or sister's eye. But that said, it does not mean To not judge does not mean that you cannot assess a position as wrong. It can't mean that because Jesus spent his whole life assessing another position as wrong. He spent the majority of his ministry condemning the scribes and the Pharisees for their approach to worshiping God. So it's what you do after you assess someone's position as wrong that determines whether or not you're judging them. Because every time that Jesus assessed the position as wrong, every time that a sinner exposed their sinful heart to Jesus, he did not push them away, but instead he brought them in close. There was a woman caught in adultery. A bunch of people were about to stone her. It's in John chapter 8, I believe. And Jesus says, "Let the one who is without sin be the one to cast the first stone." And of course, everyone dropped their rocks because no one there was sinless. And Jesus looked at this woman who was in sexual sin, and he said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Now go and sin no more." So he assessed her position as wrong, but instead of pushing her away, he said, "I accept you, not based on you being clean. I accept you based just as you are. I accept you. I don't condemn you. Now, after having been accepted, I'd say, go and sin no more." You have got